All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Strickland, and I'm the president of the North Penn Alumni Athletic Association. Welcome to this evening's 15th annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony. To start the evening off, we're very fortunate. We are every year, actually. They've been doing this since the very first one, to have the North Penn High School Choir is going to sing the national anthem and the alma mater. So if you could, please.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? As knights who in the olden times would pledge their loyalty to keep their honor shining and ever true to be, we entered here at North Penn High with hearts resolved to dare our noblest aim to bring to fame our alma mater fair.
How about that for talent, huh? So if we could, before we begin, just take a few moments silence for those classmates and teammates who have departed, please. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for coming. I was telling somebody earlier that when we started this organization in the year 2000, Ken Schmidt, who was at one time a principal here at the high school and one of the original organizers of the NPAAA, our first president was Al Broadhag, who happened to be my line coach when I played for North Penn High School. But anyway, in 2004, Coach Broadhag wanted to step down, and Ken Schmidt called me and asked if I would become president, and I told him no. I think the first time 3 times, then he called back, and I told him no 4 more times, and that was in 2004, so that's why he was principal, all right, and I was a defensive lineman, all right? So anyway, this year, this event is going to be remembered for our 9th Lifetime Achievement inductee, Now, I just want to take a few moments and explain that. We started out in 2000 with our mission statement. Our purpose was to raise money for senior awards. Then when I became president in 2004, we as a group decided, well, North Penn has been written up at that time twice in Sports Illustrated for their unbelievable athletic achievements. So I said, we don't have a Hall of Fame, which didn't sound right. So we decided to start that up. And in 2011, with the permission of the superintendent and principal at the time, we started the Lifetime Achievement. And the reason for that is it seems like an anomaly because this really doesn't have anything to do with athletics. But we made the determination when we did our due diligence, when we researched the other schools that had Hall of Fames, they all had Lifetime Achievement or whatever they want to call it, you know, sometimes outstanding outstanding alumni, whatever. So we decided to do that. That was in 2011. So this year we have our 9th Lifetime Achievement, and we're going to put in 8 of our outstanding athletes. Now, if you haven't had a chance to see the wall, hopefully you'll go visit it, the 2 walls, at the conclusion of this evening's event. You'll see team plaques and individual plaques. At the conclusion of this evening, we're going to have we will have accomplished putting up 180 athletes, most of which I want to point out are a very high percentage of which are state champions. It's incredible. Of the 38 team plaques that are on the wall, only 36 of the 38 were state champions, teams. The reason we don't have teams this year is because we have a 5-year rule for this, from practical reasons for that. The teams have to be at least 5 years out of school. And for those that go to college, we give them 4 years of college, whatever. So we give them some time, and this will be the first event that we don't have teams, but we will pick it up again next year with teams. Of the 2 teams that aren't state champions are because they didn't have their sport, football, didn't have state champions at that time. 1937, Lansdale High School. By the way, when we started this organization, we went back to 1920 and included what we refer to as the legacy schools, which included Lansdale High School, North Wales High School, and Hatfield High School. They were merged in 1955 to become North Penn High School. But anyway, the 37 football team, when we had our first Hall of Fame event, actually we had about 8 to 10 of those athletes come to the event. Now they were a little slow getting up on the stage, but they were a remarkable record. They were unscored upon the whole season until the 4th quarter. Up at Doylestown, the Doylestown High School was called then, one of their athletes ran for a touchdown, and we still won the game, but we have that blemish, you know. 1948 was undefeated also, and we also inducted them, and they had quite a representation. So, having said that, what we're going to do this evening is call each athlete up. We're going to read we have 2 MCs, which I'll introduce in a minute, and we're going to introduce them and tell you what their accomplishments were, and we're going to give them these Hall of Fame induction awards, which include, by the way, a framed certificate, citations from the state and Senate, from the House of Representatives and the Senate of Pennsylvania, and induction pins. So it's been a remarkable run, to be honest with you. I've really loved this. This has been great for the school, for the athletes, because the wall is more than just recognition. It's really a history the sports history of North Penn. What I would like to do is thank Superintendent Curtis Dietrich, Principal Pete Nicholson, Athletic Director Bill Bartle, and Lord, I can't forget Linda Law. Linda Law works in the athletic office and provides us behind-the-scenes support. For example, she had her Key Club make the refreshments that will be served at the end of the induction ceremony. Ken McLarnon sitting up front, the very professional program that we give out every year. Ken's responsible for that, in addition to taking the pictures of this evening. And Bob Gilmer, who runs the TV studio, and his staff are filming this and will be able to be seen on our website, which is www.npaa.org. Right, and it'll also be seen, you can see it on North Penn Television. So, at the conclusion of this evening, we'll have inducted 180 athletes, 38 teams. We have other special categories, 9 lifetime achievement. We have special categories such as special recognition teams that weren't quite Hall of Fame caliber, or met our Hall of Fame criteria, but were part of and played an important part in the school sports history. And we had 1 special recognition individual. Do we have any Hall of Fame inductees in the audience this evening? If you could stand up, please. One last note, and this is my job, we have reached a milestone of, we had always dreamed of getting to 500 members. We're up to about 504 or 5. We now have a goal of 600 lifetime achievement, or lifetime members rather. It's a one-time $50 fee. This is an advertisement, by the way. Sorry to become commercial here, but there are membership forms on the table on the way out. We appreciate all the support we can get. We are part of, and this is important, part of the North Penn Coordinating Council, and why that is important is the North Penn Coordinating Council is a organization, an umbrella organization under which all the support type organizations like ourselves, we are part of that. That gives us certain privileges, but one of the key factors is we are, in fact, all donations, etc. We're a 501c3, and for those of you not familiar with the IRS, that means you can deduct it off your income tax. So somehow I feel like there's a hook going to come get me off the stage here. But anyway, they tell me that every year, keep it short, Strickland. All right. I'd like to introduce our 2 MCs for this evening. Both are North Penn graduates. All right. We have Joe Heyer, graduated North Penn in 1990. He's a senior advertising executive with the Philadelphia 76ers. And Kyle Berger, who's a teacher here at the high school and works with us closely every year. He's in charge of, by the way, he works for WNPV occasionally and announces the games, so for the football games. So with that, I'm going to turn this over, to Kyle and Joe. If you give them a round of applause, please.
Thanks, Tom. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kyle. Joe will be up shortly. We will be bringing that hook next year, Tom. Thanks. I'm here to introduce this year's Lifetime Achievement Hall of Fame inductee, and that is Mrs. Susan Capps Morris, a 1973 grad of North Penn High School. Here she enjoyed taking genetics, physics, calculus, and advanced biology, and from there she went on to Lehigh University, where she earned a Bachelor of Science in Biology, then began a 35-year career at Merck. She worked in a multitude of positions, from a biological technician all the way up to being the Senior Vice President and Chief of Staff to Merck's CEO. Among her career highlights included leading the team that launched the asthma medication Singulair. In addition to her career at Merck, she served on the board of directors for the Franklin Institute and the National Association of Manufacturers. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to see Sue present her lifetime of travel and experiences to some of our high school students in an assembly, and they were absolutely thrilled to see an example of someone who, in her own words, is an ordinary person who has had an extraordinary life, thanks to those who helped her along the way. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating this year's Lifetime Achievement Award Hall of Fame inductee, Mrs. Susan Capps Morris.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am truly honored to being inducted for my Lifetime Achievement Hall of Fame here at North Penn. I'm also humbled to be added to the wall with so many accomplished recipients. When you read their bios, they're amazing people on that wall. Now, I'll say I'm not really one to look back. But with the nomination, it did prompt me to look back at my life and to look back at some of my achievements. But most of all, when I look back, what I remember and what I appreciate most were the people that were with me, were always there for me. Whether they were teachers, whether they were mentors, whether they were friends, and my dear family. They were always with me, and they always supported me. Now, I will tell you, this has been an experience for me. On Tuesday, I came back for the first time in 40 years. And I came through the doors, and all the feelings that you had when you were a student here flooded back. It was surreal, it really was. And I learned so much here. It prepared me academically to be able to study any curriculum that I wanted, or possibly even go to any college I wanted to. But I learned a lot more here than just my academics. I learned about leadership. I learned about competition. I learned about teamwork and cooperation. And I learned personal responsibility. These are so many of the life and business skills that prepared me and enabled me to live the life that I've had. And as Kyle mentioned, I had the privilege and pleasure to speak, to address part of the student body yesterday. And afterwards, Tom toured us, along with Mickey, we toured the school for quite a while. And I will tell you, I don't know if the superintendent's here, but I will tell you that they should be so proud of this school. The energy and the engagement that we saw everywhere as we toured and walked, not only the teachers and the administrators, but especially the students. It was an amazing thing to see, and the administration here should be very proud of what they've done and what they've created here in this school. So again, thank you so much. The experience that I've been through, as well as the recognition I'm receiving, I'll remember forever. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, thanks, Sue. Terrific job. Next up is Barbara Campbell, class of 1970. Barbara, unfortunately, could not be with us tonight, but you'll find her acceptance speech in the program. It's a really good read. She talks about being part of the first ever organized softball program that was ever created in the region. She also highlights some of her time in college as a two-sport athlete, where she played against the Immaculata Mighty Mites, for those of you who know who that is. At North Penn, Barbara was a 9-time varsity letter winner. Her senior year, she was the captain of the field hockey, basketball, and softball teams. In softball, she was team MVP, and she led the Maidens to the Bucksmont League title. It all culminated in her senior year when she was named the most outstanding North Penn High School athlete. She went on to play basketball and softball at East Stroudsburg University, where she led both teams in the 1974 NCAA playoffs. Ladies and gentlemen, a hand for Barbara Campbell, class of 1970. And again, Barbara's not here tonight, but she was part of a really good line of genetics in that family. Her 3 younger brothers were all outstanding athletes. One is here tonight, David Campbell, if you want to stand up, and her nephew, Timmy Campbell. Timmy is, like me, an alumni of the North Penn Basketball Waterboy Club. So great to see him. Next up is the class of 1985. When Bill Coddington walked onto the North Penn floors as a sophomore, he walked right into the varsity programs for both the football and basketball teams. And for the next 3 years, he was a bedrock of both programs. In football, he was a true all-purpose player, starting as a sophomore at wingback, defensive back, and kick returner. His junior year, Coddington was a member of Coach Jim Wild's Wild Bunch. They overcame Mike Pettin's senior and junior's CB West team to capture the '83 Bucksmont League Championship. That year, Bill was featured much more heavily on offense, serving as both a tailback and fullback. And then in his senior season, Bill helped form one of the most formidable backfields in southeastern Pennsylvania, featuring all-timer Scott Novak at tailback. Bill was at fullback, and that was a really, really strong combination. Bill was second team All-Bucksmont on offense. He was all-district honorable mention. He was team co-captain that year, and he was given the Team Pride and Desire Award. On the hardwood, Bill played a combination guard and forward as a sophomore, and that was a rarity in that era as a sophomore. As a junior, he led the Knights to the district playoffs with a upset top-seeded Lower Merion. Bill's contributions that particular night were admirable since he had a case of the flu and was a game-time decision. His senior season, Bill Coddington led North Penn to a 13-3 league record, finishing right behind Ed Fogel's Hatboro team. Bill was named second team All-Bucksmont. He was team co-captain and team MVP, and Bill's sharpshooting netted 900 career points, all happening in the pre-3-point era. Finally, Bill also spent some time with Coach Dick Swanker on the track. He was a member of the Bucksmont Champion 4x100 relay, and he teamed up on that relay with tonight's fellow inductee, Derek Luby. Bill earned a total of 7 varsity letters. He was the North Penn High School most outstanding athlete as a sophomore, and he was the Gennardi's most outstanding senior athlete. Bill went on to earn a football scholarship to William and Mary, where he excelled as a fullback and kick returner. Bill went on to coach football here at North Penn for a couple of years, and then coached a number of sports at Souderton for 17 years, and he remains at Souderton to this day as assistant high school principal. He earned his doctorate from Immaculata, and he was inducted into the North Penn Souderton Hall of Fame in 2006. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Coddington.
I've been icing my knees all day so I wouldn't limp when I walked up here. It is an honor to be here, and I'd like to begin by thanking the North Penn Athletic Alumni Association for this tremendous honor. It is hard to believe that it's been almost 35 years since I wore a North Penn uniform of any kind. Sports have changed a lot since the 80s, some for the better, some for the worse. As Joe just mentioned, we would have killed for a three-point line back in the 80s. The only place it was in the ABA with the red, white, and blue ball. We weren't allowed to have warm-up music, although we used to beg Doc all the time, but we were allowed to listen to the Star-Spangled Banner. Football playoffs didn't exist yet, but one great thing that has been lost, Thanksgiving football, which was great for the community, unfortunately has gone the wayside, but it's nice to know that we were 3-0 against Lansdale Catholic. I played primarily team sports here at North Penn, and I would be terribly remiss if I thought I was up here by myself. I played with some tremendous athletes, several who are already in this Hall of Fame, several who are here this evening. Jerry Moore, football, Steve Melcher, basketball, Tim Kulig, track, Brian Wethy and Jimmy Gulick, and Mark Oxenreiter in basketball, and fellow inductee Derek Luby, who he and I started playing football and basketball back in the 70s for the North Penn Squires. I would also like to thank the many coaches for whom I have played for and have had tremendous impact on my life, without whom I also would not be here tonight, starting with the Wild Bunch coach, Jim Wild, Ed Lugg, Ray Unangst, Bo Berlanda, and my good friend and mentor, Jack Spike Chrisman. I would also like to thank coaches Joe Heyer and Toby Watton for the years I spent playing basketball for them, and for Dick Schwanker, who was my coach in junior high school football and also track and field. And lastly, I'd like to thank Don Ryan for the years of friendship and guidance as athletic director. Thank you for this wonderful recognition, and congratulations to all members of the class of 2019. Thank you.
Congratulations to Bill. Before we continue with our program, we neglected to offer some airtime, if you will, to a special guest that's with us this evening, a fellow North Penn grad and the State House Representative for the 53rd District. I'd like to welcome up to the stage Steve Malagary.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to be back here at North Penn High School again, seeing so many familiar faces actually in the crowd, and seeing many that I actually worked with, one of them being honored here tonight. It is my pleasure to be here, and it is my pleasure to offer each and every one of you my congratulations on this amazing achievement, being a part of this Hall of Fame. Within each of your gift bags from the Alumni Association, you have received a signed State House of Representatives citation signed by myself, Representative Liz Hambidge, and also Representative Todd Stevens, all of whom are representatives of the North Penn School District. So on behalf of the House of Representatives of Pennsylvania, it is my great honor to congratulate each and every one of our inductees this evening, and I thank you for giving me some time to wish my best regards to each and every one of you as you continue your lives and doing the great things that you already have done. So look forward to seeing many more accomplishments ahead. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Seemingly every year, there are members of the North Penn swimming and diving family inducted into our Hall of Fame. Most of these are legends for their accomplishments in the pool. And while Brian Fakish certainly accomplished plenty as a swimmer here, his leadership as a coach poolside has landed him firmly in the Hall of Fame tonight. After swimming for Hall of Fame coach Rick Carroll and Hall of Fame coach Bill Baradelli here at North Penn, and working as a coach over the summer for Hall of Fame coach Selma Robinson, Brian was given a firm foundation for what would be a stellar coaching career here at North Penn. After finishing school at IUP, Brian returned home to Lansdale, where he began his coaching career as an assistant to another Hall of Fame coach, Bill Bartle. The Knights won 4 state championships from 1997 to 2000 with Brian on staff. The next year, he was named head coach of his alma mater's water polo and swimming and diving teams. In 5 years, Brian coached the team to a 52-1 dual meet record, 2 state titles, 3 state runner-up finishes. His water polo teams won 3 state titles and finished second 3 more times. Twice he was named the state's Coach of the Year. After stepping aside from coaching to raise a family of 4 boys with his wife Mary, Brian returned to the deck in 2016, and since then, the boys and girls teams here at North Penn have combined for 7 state titles and 3 runner-up finishes. Not too shabby. Brian is in his 22nd year here at North Penn High School as a biology teacher, and next fall is going to see his oldest son, Sean, off to college as a scholarship swimmer at the University of Notre Dame. Please join me in congratulating Brian Fakish on his induction into the North Penn Alumni Athletic Association Hall of Fame.
I have to say that I've been a teacher here for over 20 years, and standing up here giving this speech is absolutely terrifying. So I will try to be as short as I can, but there are so many people that I need to thank. First, I want to thank the North Penn Athletic Alumni Association for this honor tonight. And I want to congratulate the inductees. Reading your bios are so impressive. Your accomplishments are amazing. I'm truly humbled to be on this stage once again. You heard some of the accomplishments. I've been here before with numerous water polo teams and swimming state championship teams to celebrate their accomplishments. But tonight, there are no teams physically standing behind me, and that's really, really scary for me because I'm definitely a team player. But I would not be standing on the stage tonight if it wasn't for those athletes that continued the tradition of excellence set forth by those before them and those before me. I've had so many people to thank along the way on this journey, and I want to name a few of them. To my high school coaches, Rick Carroll, Bill Baradelli, thank you for your example that you set for excellence in the North Penn swimming and diving. And Rick, a special thank you for always being there, whether a cell phone call, a text message, an email, being there in person for all the big moments that we accomplished. I can always count on you for your support in those big moments. To Bill Bartle and Selma Robinson, I truly do not have words to express the gratitude I have and all of the things I've learned from the two of you. So many parts of who I am are from your influence on and off the deck. Your insights have been invaluable and our enjoyments immemorable. And although she is not here with us, I would like to thank the late Gabby Johnston for being just an awesome person. Working alongside her on the aquatic club staff allowed me to learn so much about coaching the sport of swimming. I need to thank my assistant coaches. I think every head coach knows that you cannot do this alone, and some of them are here tonight. Jason Grubb was my water polo assistant coach, and the irony is he is now the head coach of the water polo team, and I am his assistant coach. My brother Jeff Fakish was one of my assistant coaches for swimming, and he is now the head coach of all of the swimming teams here, and I am his assistant coach. My assistant coach, Brian Daly, who coached the boys team after I stepped down. Sue McDonald, who was our diving coach, who is now Souderton's diving coach. And Jason Craig, who was my very first assistant coach during my very first year. Without their dedication and hard work, all of these accomplishments would not be possible. To the North Penn student athletes, I would not be standing here today without your dedication to your sport. Every win wasn't always easy. Sometimes the path to victory was long, dark, a bit crazy, but so many of them came through in the biggest moments for us when we needed it the most. I hope your memories of our time together are as fond as the memories I have. Tonight, I am deeply honored to join so many of you, my former athletes, into this Hall of Fame. To the North Penn administration and staff during my tenure as the head coach, Doc Ryan, Linda Law, Kathy Acuff, Vince Cotter, the late Steve Frederick, Bert Hines, Bob Hassler, Kurt Dietrich, I can't thank you enough for all of your support that you've lent to the various aquatic programs. To my parents, John and Patty, today is their 51st wedding anniversary, so quite an accomplishment. That's probably the best accomplishment here. You know, you always told me that I should be a teacher, and actually Selma Robinson also said I should be a teacher. But like a typical 18-year-old kid, I didn't listen. I waited until I had my degree, and I went back to get my teaching certification after I graduated. And now here I am later, 23 years into a teaching career, and my second stint of coaching at my alma mater. So you guys were right. Thanks for always being there. Thanks for watching my children and cheering me on and giving me advice whenever I needed it. And to my brothers who are all here, all former North Penn swimmers and water polo players, Kevin, Jeff, Jonathan, and their families. You have always been there with me, whether in the stands, on the phone, or in recent years standing right next to each other as we win a state championship. I love you all. To my 4 boys, Sean, Ryan, Aiden, and Brendan, I know being the son of a coach isn't easy, especially when I'm the coach, but it is my honor to be part of your journey here at North Penn High School. You make me so proud when you wear the Columbian blue and represent North Penn and the Fakish family in the pool. And to maybe the best Hall of Famer that's not here, she's down in the TV studio, my wife of almost 23 years, Mary. If being the son of a coach is hard, being the wife of a coach, well, is ridiculous. I can't think really of what this journey was like back in 1995 when we both decided, yeah, I think coaching 2 sports and teaching is a great idea for us. There were so many lonely late nights, missed Little League games, missed dinners, missed Saturdays. I know it wasn't always easy for her, but somehow she always got it done, often alone. And yet, you let me do what I love to do. Your support has always been there no matter what. And like I said, I think she's the real Hall of Famer here. Being a coach isn't always easy. There are difficult moments, difficult days, long weeks, really long seasons, but I love what I do. I truly enjoy being part of the North Penn Aquatics program and working with those student athletes who chose to become knights at the school I love. And before I close, several of them are actually here tonight. So if you are one of my athletes, could you please stand up? Please stand up. And if everybody could just give them a round of applause. Look at how many teenagers are here on a Saturday night. This is why I do what I do. So once again, thank you to the Athletic Association. This honor means a lot to me. Thank you.
Well done, Brian. And he was a heck of a swimmer as well. Terrific coach, but you're ahead of me as an amazing swimmer, so congratulations. Our next inductee is a fellow class of 90 grad. He may not remember, but he sat directly behind me in English class our senior year, and I got an A+ in English that year because I was attentive, more so than any class in my life, because I was deathly afraid that Matt Finaccio was going to put me into a headlock. He was that intimidating as a wrestler. And when you look at it in a bigger scale, Matt Finaccio is probably one of the most dominant wrestlers in southeastern Pennsylvania history. He jumped right into the wrestling room as a freshman, and he was sectional champ, District 1 champ, and southeastern Pennsylvania regional champion all that freshman year. At the state tournament, he won 2 matches, and they turned out to be crucial wins, giving North Penn just enough points to capture the 1987 team PIAA state championship. From there, Matt's dominance continued. 3-time sectional champion, 4-time District 1 champion, and then he became only the 2nd wrestler in history to win 4 southeastern Pennsylvania regional titles. His senior year, Matt was named District 1 Most Outstanding Wrestler and Southeastern Pennsylvania Regional Most Outstanding Wrestler. He capped it off with a strong 4th place finish at states his senior year. His overall record of 137 wins and 11 losses included only 1 dual meet his entire career. Matt went on to wrestle at Rider University, then George Mason. At George Mason, he was a 2-time Colonial Athletic Association champion. He was a 1995 Virginia State Intercollegiate Champion, and he was a 1995 Division I All-American. He was also named to the CAA Silver Anniversary Team. Matt went on to coach high school and youth wrestling for a number of years, close to 20 years over in New Jersey. He is currently the vice principal at Reynolds Middle School in Hamilton Township, where he lives with his wife Nikki and two sons, Zach and Christian. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Finaccio.
That would be my brother. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it. And now you realize how tough I was dealing with that growing up. I want to start by thanking the Alumni Association. It's a great honor to be here. Truth be told, I'm here because I was very fortunate to have a great support system, and that support system started with my parents. My parents didn't just spend a boatload of money on tournaments and hotels or wake up at 5 a.m. to drive me across the state. They also helped me to cut weight, how to eat right, and they motivated me to be a better person and a better wrestler. I remember being at George Mason University, a 3-hour ride down the road, and my parents would make the ride and rent a hotel room and come down to see me for a 7-minute match. A lot of time driven on the road for 7 minutes. Fortunately, once in a blue moon, it was a little bit less than 7 minutes. But they used to not just come down and see me wrestle, but they would also bring a fan club with them. Frequently, they would come down and they would have fellow North Penn wrestling alumni parents with them, and it was very rewarding to be able to look into the bleachers and see that not just my family was there, but my North Penn family was also there. So thanks, Mom and Dad. Then I have my two brothers. I have Tom and Dan. Tom was the obnoxious one as I walked up here. But they set the bar pretty high for me as I was growing up. Tom was a 3-sport athlete, and I grew up watching my brother Tom play baseball and football. And Tom was one of those people that just never did anything halfway. And when I was young and impressionable, it made a difference. Then there was my brother Dan. Dan's a fellow Hall of Famer. Dan was the first 100-win wrestler at North Penn and a state championship, and also won a state championship. I lost my spot on my notes. There's a lot of pros and cons to wrestling with your brother as you were in high school. Some of the pros were, I got to wrestle with my brother Dan, state champion. Some of the cons were that the wrestling matches didn't always end as we left the wrestling room. As Coach Schetz and Coach Clavon and Coach Heimer will tell you, it didn't always end pretty. But that was okay, because at the end of the day, that was really what made me a great wrestler. That it was getting pushed every day in that wrestling room. It was going into the wrestling room and not just wrestling with great wrestlers, but being in one of the most competitive wrestling rooms in the state. With being in one of the most competitive wrestling rooms in the state, I'd like to thank the 1987 team and every member of that team, because as a freshman, I walked into a room that was one of the best rooms in the state. That room taught me exactly what a room should look like and what it took to be a champion. So I thank you. To my coaches, where do I start? I was a young kid, nasty temper, chip on my shoulder. Although this sounds like the recipe for a great wrestler, I didn't always know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Coach Clavon, Coach Schetz, Coach Heimer, thank you for being so patient with me, allowing me to make mistakes, grow, and to learn along the way. You were always there for me, and I appreciate it. While at North Penn, I did have great coaches, but I also had great teachers who helped to guide me. Mr. Lassen and Miss MacArthur are the reason I became a teacher. Yes, they were great teachers, but that isn't what gave me direction. What gave me direction was that they took the time with me to make a relationship. They cared for me beyond Matt Finaccio, the student athlete. They helped me to lighten that weight of the chip on my shoulder and they were there long after I was done with their class. I'm now working as a middle school vice principal. I believe the school is an extension of home and that I am an extension of their parents. I work very hard every day to build relationships and to set the same example for my middle school students as my North Penn teachers and coaches set for me. So I will close by again saying thank you to the North Penn Alumni Athletic Association, because by recognizing my achievements, you are also recognizing the countless people who helped to make me successful. Thank you.
Congratulations to Matt. Our next inductee, unfortunately, had some travel mix-ups and couldn't make it here tonight, but Adelina Gentry was a powerhouse on the basketball court and went from North Penn all the way to Australia in her playing career. She was a 4-year varsity starter for the girls basketball team on her way to becoming another member of the 1,000-Point Club here at the high school. She was a 3-time All-Suburban 1 League first-team selection and was twice named the team MVP. From North Penn, she matriculated to the University of New Haven and was a 2-time captain of the Chargers basketball team. In 2006, she led her team to a conference championship and was named MVP of the conference tournament. That year, the team qualified for the NCAA tournament and made it to the Division II regional semifinals. After college, Adelina played with Athletes in Action across the United States and in India before playing professional basketball in Perth, Australia. While there, she began her coaching career and worked as a motivational speaker. Upon her return to the United States, Adelina became the head coach of the Overhill High School girls basketball team in North Carolina and led them to their first ever appearance in the state tournament. Next up, it was a journey to Texas to serve as an assistant coach and recruiting coordinator for the Texas A&M University Commerce's women's basketball team. In 2018, she completed her master's degree in biblical and theological studies from the Dallas Theological Seminary. And these days, her current coaching career involves coaching multiple sports for her son, Josiah. Again, unfortunately, Adelina Gentry could not be here tonight, but let's give her a warm round of applause and congratulate her on her induction.
Okay, earlier we talked about the 83 Bucksmont champion football team and Bill Coddington's contributions, but tonight we also induct another member of that team who happened to be the MVP of that 83 championship team. Tonight we induct Derek Luby, class of 1984. Derek was a 3-sport athlete. He earned 6 total varsity letters. In football, he possessed outstanding speed, strength, and hitting ability. He started on both sides of the ball. His senior season, he was team co-captain, team MVP, first team All-Bucksmont as a receiver, and second team All-Bucksmont as a defensive back. Track and field, he helped the Knights win the 1984 Bucksmont team title and the District 1 team title. Derek earned first team All-Bucksmont in the 100-meter, and he was also first team All-Bucksmont as a member of the 4x100 relay team. That relay team went on to place third at districts, and then at the state meet, they set the school record. On the hardwood, Derek was a key member of that 1984 team that pulled off a road upset of top-seeded Lower Merion in the district playoffs. In the spring of 1984, Derek was named the Gennardi's North Penn High School Athlete of the Year. Derek received a football scholarship to Northeastern University, where he was a 4-time letterman and also picked up 3 letters in track and field. In one instance, Derek played the first half of a spring football game, left at halftime, and then ran in the all-New England track and field meet. Another highlight was a game-saving interception in the end zone to take out rival UConn. Derek is currently a supervisor for the U.S. Probation Department in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. He joins us tonight from Turnersville, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, Derek Luby.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Getting my speech here. This is a great honor. I'm blessed to be here. I have a speech that I wanted to read, but I'm just going to talk from the heart. I want to thank the North Penn Athletic Association and for this wonderful induction, and I also want to thank all the inductees, past and present. I was going to wait till the end to talk about my friends. I have a lot of friends here today. My teammates, past and present, from high school and college have all come out to support me, and it means a lot to me. I have friends here that drove down from Boston, up from Maryland. That it means a lot. So with that being said, I want to say thank you to that because, you know, being a teammate, you make me work harder. This isn't it's not like an honor for me. This is an honor for all of us. You guys made me work hard and be the best that I am, or best that I could be. I'd like to thank all the head coaches that coached me. I'd like to thank first Joe Heyer for putting up with me. We had that great win against Lowell Marion. That was a great win. They never thought we could beat them. They had 4 Division I prospects. Of course, we had Brian Weffy, but that was a great team win. I want to thank Coach Wild. He was great. And all the assistant coaches with the football team, especially Coach Unanks, who kind of took me under his wing, showed some interest in me. Didn't really have a lot of confidence back then, and worked out with me. That meant a lot to me. That was awesome. And Coach Wild making plays, Luby Special, you know, coming over to the house, looking at my beer can collection. It was amazing. That was good things I'll never forget in my life. And then finally, I'd like to thank Coach Swanker, who's not here. I think he's traveling in Europe. He was great. Another one, showed a lot of confidence in me to be the best I am. So once again, I really want to thank all my friends that came out. I mean, I can name them all: Kulik, Gulick, Melcher, Oxenrider, Mr. Moore, Kenny Dorm, you know, Lonnie and Rodney, Jody Murray, who I haven't seen in 35 years, came down for this, so it's a blessing. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your night. Oh, one more thing. I want to thank my family, too. I'm so sorry. My family, my mom's here, and my brothers, thank you very much. All right, sorry.
Better thank that family. Our next inductee tonight was one of the best all-around athletes to ever compete here at North Penn High School. In addition to a phenomenal career on the hardwood, she was a 3-year starter on varsity and softball and was on the cross-country team for 2 seasons. Amber Smolinski-Mercuro was naturally named the best athlete at North Penn High School all 3 of her years here. As a standout basketball player, she amassed 1,159 points in just 3 seasons on the varsity squad. In her senior season, she averaged 21.6 points per game, which was good enough to lead all of District 1 in scoring. Her athletic accomplishments were balanced by a strong academic record, an honor roll student every single marking period in school. Both academics and athletics led Amber to a successful 4-year career at Delaware Valley, where she was a 4-year letter winner and finished her career as the 4th all-time leading scorer in program history. She remains in the top 10 in career rankings for 8 statistical categories at Del Val. She was twice an all-conference selection and was named the MAC Conference's all-academic team twice. Beyond the scope of basketball, Amber's true passion was in the equestrian field, and Delaware Valley offered the perfect mix of basketball and the opportunity to major in equestrian sciences. She graduated with honors and continues her work in that field today as she and her husband operate Piedmont Riding Stables in New Jersey. Last year, she was inducted into the Delaware Valley University Athletic Hall of Fame, and tonight, she's now a member of the North Penn Alumni Athletic Association Hall of Fame. Please join me in congratulating Amber Smolinski-Mercuro.
Congratulations.
I would like to thank everyone for being here today, especially my family and friends. I also want to thank the Alumni Association for selecting me for induction. Please let me start off by saying that I'm personally truly honored to be here today to receive recognition for my personal athletic accomplishments, both humbling and satisfying. My and fellow inductees' accomplishments are certainly amazing and well-deserving of induction also. A lot of people do not realize the extraordinary effort and commitment a high school athlete has to make during the normal classroom work, routine, and growing up experiences. It's hard to believe this has been 20 years since my high school playing days. I was glad to hear that the induction ceremony was not held in the gym, as I think Coach Crawford would have us running back and forth forever. I followed my brother Mark, a football player, as an athlete at North Penn, and as all I can remember also is my little brother running around up and down the stands during every game and halftime. Todd also did play football here too. Basketball is a team sport. A large part of my accomplishment certainly is because of my teammates, coaches, and friends. I could not have achieved success on my own. It is definitely a lot of hard work. Thanks to Coach Crawford and all the staff for allowing me to play and excel in the sport that I loved for its competitiveness, teamwork, and sense of accomplishment. Sports to me has always been demanding, challenging, and ultimately fulfilling. There were a lot of ups and downs during my high school career. I remember being the new kid in the team and being so anxious, nervous, and hyper. I remember ending my time as the stable, precise, and unwavering veteran leader. If I could go back in time, I would definitely do everything that I did while here playing at North Penn. That also helped prepare me for life and the successful college career that I ended up having. In closing, special thanks go to my parents for all their time, efforts, and money supporting my sports and equestrian activities. They're always there for me, especially at games, regardless of how far, what time, and day it was. I would not be here without the two of you. Thank you. Thanks to all my family and friends that have followed my career. Thanks again to the Alumni Association for honoring me and the others today for the recognition of our sacrifices and accomplishments the North Penn students, as a North Penn student athlete, overcomes. Thanks to everyone who came here today to attend the induction ceremonies. May we all enjoy a healthy, happy, and successful future. Thank you. I did it.
Thanks, Amber. Neat to hear about your brothers. Family affair tonight with the Smolinskis. I talked about the Campbells, some great basketball and football players there. The Fakishes, about, 5 generations in the pool here, right? Nice suit, by the way. The Finaccios, the 3 of them, incredible athletes, Tom, Dan, Matt, and the Lubies, really good athletes. Glenn, terrific basketball player, and Corey, who was my grade. I don't know if Corey's here, but heck of a football player. So great to hear about the family stories. We're at our final inductee of the night tonight, and it is 1974 standout football and wrestler, Doug Renner. He was a child of the 1960s, and kids growing up in that era were baseball lovers. He started his athletic career with his dad in the Hatfield Little League, playing for his dad, but it was eventually on the gridiron and wrestling mat where Doug left his legacy here at North Penn. In football, Doug was a 3-year starter, and he earned a long list of accolades, including 1973 First Team All-Bucksmont on offense, First Team All-Bucksmont on defense. He was Philadelphia All-Suburban, Second Team on defense, and he was Pennsylvania All-State Honorable Mention also on defense. He was the North Penn Co-Defensive Player of the Year, the North Penn Most Outstanding Senior Football Player, and he went on to represent North Penn in the Montgomery County All-Star Football Game, where he was the defensive captain. On the wrestling mat, Doug was one of the top heavyweights in North Penn history. His senior year, he led the Knights in pins. He advanced to the District 1 semifinals, but he had an even better run at states, making it all the way to the state championship finals. Doug went on to play football at the University of Delaware, where he was named freshman team captain, and he led the Blue Hens to a freshman team victory over the Penn State Nittany Lions. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Renner.
Joe's dad was around when I was an athlete at the school. He was the basketball coach back in the day. It is truly an honor to be here, and I'm humbled by the honor. And when I first started at his school as a sophomore, it was the first year that the school was open, and I ran into Sue earlier tonight. I haven't seen her since 1973. But when we first got here, any of you who has ever gone to this school knows it's a bit of a maze. Can you imagine all three classes, sophomore, junior, senior, nobody knows where they're going. You can't ask anybody. You don't know which pod because they all look the same. And it's pretty amazing. I'd like to thank my coaches, my parents. Lineage goes back a long way. My father was a running back on those late 40s teams. My mother's here, 92-year-old mother. Are you 92? 91. I don't want to push it. My two brothers, my sister-in-law, my family, my daughters, my wife. And we've all been blessed with individual abilities. One of my abilities was athletics, and I had a lot of great coaches. Had a good run in football when I first got here, as Joe said, and but really, my favorite coach out of all was Ed Clavon, and Ed couldn't be here tonight, and I had been trying to contact him to see if he would be here because it's very important for me to have seen Ed. And I couldn't find a phone number for him. The phone number in the white pages is disconnected. So I drove to his house this afternoon. And I pull up and his son comes out and he says, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a guy named Ed Clavon." He had us up there for Christmas one time or something. And I remember the house specifically because it had a tree growing up, kind of like an arboretum in the middle of the house. So I recognize the house. I go in and I go out back and here's Ed sitting on his deck reading the paper. And I'm getting closer and closer to him, and he's got this look on his face. "Dad, there's somebody here to see you." So I got closer and closer and closer, and he didn't recognize me. He still looks the same. And I leaned over and I said, "Doug Renner." And he clamped me in a bear hug that only a wrestler could appreciate. It was a very touching moment, and Ed sends his regards. I do know a little bit more about the Finaccios right now than I did earlier this afternoon, because I told Ed that Matt was going in, and so he had some interesting insight onto that I'm not at liberty to disclose right now. But in any event, I ran into Coach Watton on the way in here tonight, and I told him I had a story to tell you all about him. Criminal justice class, my senior year, Coach Watton decided to conduct an in-classroom experiment. He wanted to see what the reaction of the students would be in a crisis situation and how everyone's reaction and recollection of the incident would be recalled. So he comes up to me before class. He says, "Doug, you got an A on your test, but I'm going to flunk you." Okay. He says, "What I want you to do," he says, "I want you to start arguing with me." And I'm like, okay. So he hands out the papers. I'm like, "Mr. Watton, what is this?" "Doug, I'll talk to you about it after class." "No, I want to talk about it now." And so we continue this charade, and he says, "All right, Doug, let's go out in the hall." So we go out in the hall. Coach Watton says, "Jack me up against the lockers." Right? So I got him, and he's like, no, make some noise. Push me against the lockers. So I do, and I'm banging him against the lockers, literally. I looked to my left. Here comes Lug, Wild, and Grana running down the hall "What are you doing?" All right, and Coach Watton's like, no, I told him to. The incredulous look on their face was pretty much, so I had to relate that story. My brother John's here tonight. John wrestled with me. He was a sophomore when I was a senior, and I got a lot of press because I wrestled last. And whenever the match was on the line, the photographers got me. Now, my points didn't matter any more than anybody else's points, but I just happened to be wrestling last. Well, we wrestled Plymouth Whitemarsh one day, and they were returning Suburban 1 champs, and they're a tough team. So one of our guys was sick and didn't show up. My brother was wrestling about 120 at the time. They had a district champion in the 142, I guess it was 142-pound class, and we didn't have anybody wrestling. So Doug Nelson's going around the locker room before the meet going, anybody want to wrestle? Who wants to wrestle? Who wants to singlet? 120-pound brother wrestled up 3 weight classes to wrestle a district champ. That took guts. And it was an inspiration to me because I wrestled last that day. We needed a pin to win, and I got it. Football. What can I say? Arguably 4 of the 5 best players in the league played with me in 1974. Jeff Morrow went on to be a first-team All-American at the University of Minnesota. Stan Geiger went to become a running back at the University of Rhode Island, started. Keith Frederick was a 3-year starter at University of Lehigh. And I went to the University of Delaware. And I had been playing with and against players that we had no idea how good we were until we got to college. I played against Stan Geiger, Jeff Gross, Keith Frederick was on my team at Penfield, Jimmy Dilworth, and others. And when Pembroke played Penfield, I mean, it was nasty. It was a fight. And Jeff Gross, I spoke with him earlier today. He says, "Tell him about the fight." So Jeff and I had a fight on the field in a Pembroke-Penn game when he was a senior, and he wanted me to mention that to you tonight because the next year we've been friends, dear friends, ever since. The class of '74 is quite remarkable in that way. We have a lot of friends that we still stay in touch with. But to end up, when I got to the University of Delaware, I was waiting for the big jump. Delaware at the time was a Division II powerhouse. There was no Division 1A then. It was just 1, 2, and 3. And I wanted to go to the school that had a chance to win a national championship. When I got there, I was waiting for that moment where you're nervous. You're making the jump into the next level. It never came because I had been playing against guys since I was in 7th grade. The 4 guys that I just mentioned, Jeff Morrow, Keith Frederick, Stan Geiger, and myself, all would have started at Lehigh at Delaware if we all had gone there. So thanks to those guys. Wish they could be here tonight, but obviously they're not. But I want to thank all of you, part of the community that supported us. The stands were always packed for wrestling and football games back then, as I know they still are today. So thanks a lot, everybody, and enjoy your evening.
Thanks, Doug. 2 things. The only guy missing from that crew of guys, Wild, Lugg, Garana, was Emerson Drumgold. He would have fit in well there. Second thing is, if anyone is available afterward, we're going to confirm that story with Coach Watton down at the Hall of Fame plaque room and get a little more insight on that story. But thanks, Doug. Great job. Again, there will be receptions coming up down at the Hall of Fame plaque area, down by the athletic area, and stop along the way where the pool used to be. You'll see the lifetime achievements up on the hallway. So thanks for your attentiveness tonight. Thanks for everything, and see you again next time. Thanks for coming out, folks.